From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on LALATE. From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on LALATE.
It's a big noontime of LALATE. How are you? Your 4 stimulus checks are coming in July. The 4 stimulus package heats up with not 1 but 3 major events this week. All incredible great news. In this recording, I'll go over the 4 stimulus check package that could be the single biggest payout you have ever seen in the history of this channel. And this channel celebrates its 1-year anniversary today. I have footage you've never seen before as we look back on the excitement that's unfolded over the last year and the excitement that's coming in July. Monthly stimulus checks in the month of July for several months. The biggest payout you've ever seen in the history of this channel. I'll go over all the details. Then, big exclusive details you're only going to hear on this channel today. Another wave of 3rd stimulus checks are going out and have landed and have direct deposits pending. I have all that incredible great news as well. Meantime, SSI reform is happening, and that SSI reform is coming in September. I have all those details as well. And then finally, the second half of that shocking video you've never heard until now on this channel. It's a 3-month anniversary special. We're ready for a party. It's the 1-year anniversary of this channel today. It's a big birthday. I'm so excited for you. This is Noontime LALATE. How are you, everybody? Happy birthday to you and to this channel. This channel turns 1 year old today, and what a celebration we're having today. We're having a lot of fun across the day, a lot of throwback videos, a lot of celebrations, and a lot of coverage from an anniversary special you never saw airing ever on this channel. It was a 3-month anniversary birthday show that never aired, and you get to see the second half of it in this recording at the end. So stay with me to the end of this recording. If you didn't much catch the first half of the special, it aired on Mornings LALATE. How are you? 4 stimulus checks are heating up, and those monthly stimulus checks would go out in the month of July. In this recording, we're going to go over that, the 3rd stimulus check, the student loan debt forgiveness, the wealth tax, the business grants, and also what's happening on Wednesday with the president. Really surprising, great news across the board. I'm so excited for you. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also like this video, and if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. As we go into a new week, the biggest payout ever seen in the history of this channel. The biggest payout for 4 stimulus is heating up, and it could pay you a check every month for several months. It is a payout we've never seen of the magnitude ever in this channel, and I'm really excited for you. Let's get to all the details starting right now. The 4 stimulus package is called the Infrastructure Bill, or the American Recovery Plan, or the American Jobs Plan. And Democratic senators and Democratic House members are going to put in their monthly stimulus pack checks when they get the bill. They're going to write the bill, and the writing of the bill will start when they start the reconciliation process. It's a 2-month process, which will start no later than the month of May. The checks will go out in July. And how will this look? Let's go over all the incredible great details on Noontime. First, the checks would be every month. The House members would give you a check every month for the rest of this pandemic, plus 1 year. The senators would give you a stimulus check from now till December. Then who are these people? Well, the House members are progressives, the senators are more elder statesmen, and they have a lot of standalone bills they want to put in this 4 stimulus. What are they? I'll be covering them later in this recording. Then the House members want to give you $1,000 per month. The senators, the amount unknown, but word on the street is it's this. Wow, look at that, people. Look at that money. $2,000 a month for 6 months, $12,000. Or $1,400 a month for 6 months, $8,400. This is incredible. Who gets this? First, let's go over eligibility. Everyone from third stimulus would get fourth stimulus. If you make less than 75,000, this is you. Household 4 or less, this is you. SSI or SSDI, this is you. To which, let me answer a series of questions I always get. When would the checks start? July. When would the checks go out? July. When would the vote be? July. Is income? No. Does this disqualify for benefits? No. Is that amount that you showed on the screen before for the whole household? No. It's just for one individual. Why is this so much money compared to 2020? Because it's a new administration. Is this more than other things that the president wants to do? No. In the fifth stimulus coming this fall, the president's looking to spend $24,000 a person if that person is 17 to newborn over 6 years. So your amount is far less than anything the president's even devised. Has the president written the bill? No. Will the president write the bill? No. It will actually be written by the House members. Why can't they get this? In the video before this, Mornings LA, someone dropped in the comments, why can't they get this check out today or next month in May? Because it has to go by a reconciliation process. That's the way our government's created. Reconciliation process takes 2 months. So away we go. Now, what happened last week and what happens this week that signals fourth stimulus is going to the finish line? 1, 2, 3, 4 great items of news, and I'm going to summarize all of them and then go over the details. First, economic data shows we're not recovering any faster than we thought. Number 2, the Federal Reserve says the economy needs more stimulus. Number 3, the Republicans are not going to give bipartisan support. And number 4, the benchmarks for stimulus, long-term unemployment, and continuing jobless claims have not improved at a rate that is any faster than initially thought. Incredible news across the board. Let's get to each of those items right now. First, the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve reports new details this coming week. But in advance of the announcement, the Federal Reserve insiders has said, will announce no change of Fed policy. Rather, the Federal Reserve will say the economy needs to continue to be supported because we are not fully recovered. Great news for that. What is the other second item? Lack of bipartisan support. The Republicans have come in and said, nope, we're not giving you what you want. So what do the Republicans have said? Over 3 weeks ago, the Republicans told the President of the United States they're not doing what he wants. They're not going to do $2 trillion or 600, or they're going to do the full stimulus or even climate. They offered him no $2 trillion, $600 to $800 billion for infrastructure and no climate. So what did they come in this Friday with? The same offer, but even less. No $2 trillion, no climate, and $500 billion for infrastructure. That signals that we have to go to reconciliation. Then we also had big other news, and that big other news was the economic data. Economic data gauges where we are. Are we recovering by July or are we recovering by December? And on Thursday, the economic numbers came in showing no faster growth than we had anticipated, meaning we're going to recover at the end of this year, not earlier. The recovery is based upon a series of economic data tied to unemployment, those jobs and your unemployment numbers. And the great news was that while we are recovering as a society, we're not recovering any faster than people thought. The recovery numbers released this week showed that the unemployment claims remained flat from the week before, meaning that at that rate, we would not be recovered until December. And with that, stimulus is needed. Very easy and breezy to understand. Now, what's coming up this week? Well, this week is a series of corporate earnings. And corporate earnings are always a signal of whether we're speeding up on recovery or not. I'll have those details coming up in a second. But here's what you need to know. 4 stimulus checks are happening. 4 stimulus checks are happening. It's the single biggest payout you have seen on this channel. And those 4 stimulus checks would start in the month of July and then continue thereafter. Viewers always ask me, but how? And I say, I think it's likely by a direct debit card, and that card is sent out initially and then replenished every month thereafter. It was a plan debuted by Harris and Sanders last year. Meantime, will other items get into the forced stimulus? Let's go over that. Something new for noontime. That's how we do it. Will the Ron Wyden plan get into forced stimulus? I think it will. Oh, I just killed Ron Wyden. Sorry, Ron. I had an image and I just clicked him away. He's gone for good. Well, at least on this channel. Ron Wyden had a plan to provide $250 a month, $250 a week for 6 months. That would pay you $6,000 if you're a PUA person. Do I think that's going to get in there? Yes. Do I think there's going to be changes to PEUC, FPUC, and PUA? I think so. They're set to expire in September, and I think it's a little bit risky to get rid of them if there's 16 million people unemployed and 8 million jobs not restored. That's what the president had said, and that's what Janet Yellen had promised. So I think it's going to slide in there. Next, will Elizabeth Warren's wealth tax bill slide in there? This coming week, Elizabeth Warren talks about the wealth tax bill for congressional hearing. And that is incredible great news because the wealth tax is what pays for $200 of SSI and SSDI. Coming up later in this recording, I'll go over the SSI reform, but the $200 a month for SSI and SSDI is different. Would that slide in? It could slide in. Do I think the wealth tax will slide in? No. Wealth tax is sort of polarizing. Understand the wealth tax is for taxing billionaires and trillionaires, not millionaires. All right, how about Bernie Sanders' minimum wage? He's going to attempt to get in there. It's not going to get in there. And then anything else that we should know about? Not at the moment. So that is your forced stimulus. Meantime, big, exciting, great news and exclusive. You're only going to hear on this channel right now about third stimulus. Oh boy, as we go into the afternoon, I'm really excited to detail to you this exciting news about fourth stimulus and third stimulus. This is exclusive. You're only hearing right now on this channel about third stimulus. Another wave of third stimulus checks have gone out to land next week. Yes, I have seen the pending direct deposit announcements that viewers have gotten. You're hearing it only on this channel exclusively right now. So another wave. This is not the wave that I announced early in the week from that week. This is a new wave for deposits landing next week, which I believe is like the 27th or the 28th of April. Incredible great news next Wednesday. So there we are. What about student loan debt forgiveness? And what about SSI and SSDI reform? You know, SSI and SSDI reform is just so incredible. It is one of those messages that I have stayed on point. You and I have stayed on point for so much duration. And finally, this week, we got the blessing. This incredible letter that was delivered that said SSI reform will slide into fifth stimulus. That SSI reform has been championed by millions of Americans, this channel, you and others, to get it into a stimulus package. And that stimulus package will be the fifth stimulus package this fall. The fifth stimulus package heats up in September, and that fifth stimulus package will provide a lot of items. But now they're putting in there also the incredible detail about SSI reform. So what is SSI reform and how does it slide in there? Fifth stimulus, the Democrats are putting in SSI reform on top of the president's other proposals. What is the SSI reform? Let's go over each of them. The benefit levels will be increased. The asset limits will be increased. The inflation will be the new benchmark. And then the incredible great news is that income exclusions will be removed and the marriage penalty will be removed. Wow, it's just like people have brought us to paradise and heard what we've been asking. And finally, we're seeing the incredible detail across the board. Let's get to everything about SSI starting right now. How will SSI reform work and what are the numbers? First, they'll take your benefits and raise them higher. They'll raise your benefits to a new number. That's the first great news. I'm referring to everyone on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, and if you have multiple benefits, then all of them will raise up. Second, your benefits will be tied to inflation. No more tied to COLA. COLA is one of those benchmarks that doesn't move, and that benchmark does not move, and your benefits don't move. With inflation, this is how it's going to work. Every December, you're going to get a letter say, hi, the inflation rate went up, and so did your benefits next year. And so what should you anticipate for next year and the year after? The Federal Reserve and myself have both been saying that the inflationary rate over the next few years will be 2 to 3%. So your benefits will always increase 2 to 3%. Next, asset allocation. Wow, this is incredible, great news. The asset allocation dates back to 1984 under the Reagan administration and says you can't keep more than a certain amount of money on hand. They're getting rid of that. They're getting rid of that, allowing to keep assets on hand. Next, the income exclusion. Wow. This dates to the 1960s, and they are kicking it to the curb. What will mean if you want to work, you don't have to, but if you want to work, you can work and stay on benefits. You can make $1,000 or $2,000 a month, and they'll allow you to keep it, and you can stay on benefits. And finally, if you know what the marriage penalty is, you know how bad it is, they are throwing that to the curb as well, getting that gone additionally. So when would fifth stimulus happen? How does fifth stimulus happen? And what is the excitement for fifth stimulus? And when would we physically see the money for fifth stimulus? And when would we get to the finish line for fifth stimulus? And when would the money literally come into your hands? It would start in September. It would be another reconciliation. It would start in September. It would take 2 months at least. And then the money would start to appear around November or December. Incredible great news. Incredible great news. Coming up in the second half of this recording is something you have never seen before. 3 months into this channel, in July of 2020, I recorded what was going to be a 3-month anniversary special. And the anniversary special looked back on the pandemic, stimulus, myself, and you, but I never aired that video. You saw the first half of the video on Mornings LALATE this morning, in which I reflected on how I dealt with where we were going and what was happening, and how I reflected on the reopening of the society in July, only to close shortly thereafter. But for the first time ever, you're going to see the second half of that video coming up after the commercial break. There's a reason why I did not air that video back in July. There was actually a reason I didn't air it. You're going to see why after this commercial break. Stay with me. First, here's a little bit about the community page. I'll be back in 60 seconds and drop your questions and comments. I'd love to answer them. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues shortly after this on LALATE. How are you? The excitement continues in 2 hours from now with noon LALATE. Then we go into afternoons LALATE. 2 hours after that, a double dose, 2 hours, and another show. And then we go into our evening schedule. The second afternoon's LALATE is at 6 p.m., followed by evenings LALATE, and then we go into LA Late Night. Coming up in the second half of this recording is that shocking video you've never seen before. I'll have that for you coming up in a second.
And with that as my backdrop, I started
great
to
news
record,
across the
but
board about
people
what's
were wondering,
happening for other items.
where did you find the interest to
coming up in a
answer
second
and follow this path of money that was going nowhere?
Across
it all
the board.
Started, ironically, from a friend on Twitter
second,
whose husband had a business
more.
in Boston, a shoe store. Applied for the EIDL grant and loan, which I had never heard of, and had not really gotten any money. Another reality TV star that
and there we are. It's a great day of Noontime LA. The toast is toast and the butter is butter, and I'm here, you're here, and I'm so excited for you to join me on our 1-year anniversary birthday special. How are you? If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. What a 1 year it's been. And if you've not liked this video, make sure you do 2,000-3,000 likes. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Student loan debt forgiveness gets a new push this weekend because of a series of broadcast news reports. They've been watching the coverage on this channel, and they're wondering the same thing I'm wondering. After my reports over the last 2 weeks asking where is Miguel Cardona's letter, they're now saying the same thing. Wondering where's the Education Secretary's letter that was due 2 weeks ago. The president had ordered the Education Secretary to prepare a letter detailing whether the president could forgive student loan debt by executive order. He can. Obama did and Trump did it. So where's the letter? No one has seen it, and people are wondering when it's going to land. But a new report out this week as well indicated that of congressional leaders surveyed, over 50% that responded said they support $50,000 of student loan debt being forgiven, and that the other 50% said they support another amount but still support it. Incredible, great news across the board. Meantime, the business grants of the shuttered venue was supposed to go live yesterday. It did not. It's going live this coming week because computer malfeasance. The business grant of the PPP is now extended. The EIDL grant not yet live, and the remainder of the $5,000, the $10,000 EIDL grant from 2020 is now live as well. What happens this coming week? Well, this coming week on Wednesday, the President of the United States will hold a major bully pulpit moment in which he talks about fifth stimulus, the September stimulus. Yes, we don't have fourth stimulus yet to a bill. We don't even have it starting recon yet, but he will already start to talk about fifth stimulus. And what is he going to talk about? Well, Wall Street's already talking about what he may or may not mention to you on Wednesday, which is he seeks to raise the capital gains tax. The capital gains tax is a very big core of the U.S. economy. What is capital gains? You buy a chair, you resell it, capital gains. You buy a car, you resell it, capital gains. You sell a house, you sell it, capital gains. If you buy something at $1 and sell it at $11, that's $10 of capital gains. What does he want to do? He wants to change the rate from 20% to nearly 50%, almost a third world country rate. Meaning that if, let's say, you made $100 profit, you would normally pay $20 to the federal government. He wants to now take upwards of 50%, $50 out of the $100 that you made. Particularly fair coming out of pandemic? No. Particularly worrisome to Wall Street? Yes. Here's what's worrisome about it. First, the president is not taking ownership of what he wants to do. He's not making clear what, where, who, when, and how. And so Wall Street's having to guess. Wall Street's having to speculate. And they don't like to speculate. They like to be able to gauge risk. They like to know this is happening at this date. We know exactly what it is and we can gauge the risk. They can't gauge the risk because he's not being clear. Number two, the timing of it is surprising everyone because it wasn't supposed to take effect until next year. Now we're hearing it's being announced Wednesday for the fifth stimulus package in September, nearly a half a year earlier than anyone was supposed to be hearing about it. And finally, we don't understand why it's being done. The fifth stimulus package, for purposes of the president, not for you, but for purposes of the president, is to provide $24,000 to 17-year-olds and newborn over 6 years. So why are we taxing everyone else to give teenagers $24,000? Not particularly clear. Will it get bipartisan support? It won't. It'll have to go by recon. But will it work by recon? Ironically, Sirloin on last night's LA Late Night had a joke, but the joke was actual reality. It's during this moment that you may have to lean upon the Kristen Sinemas and the Joe Manchins of the world to say, we don't want our capital gains taxes raised. Don't pass fifth stimulus by recon if it has raising people's taxes in that regard. Moreover, there's reports that he seeks to raise other taxes as well. And with that, boy, what a day it is. It's the 1-year birthday of this channel. And 3 months into this channel, I recorded a 3-month anniversary special. It was shot in July here in Los Angeles. I started this channel on April 25th, shooting on an empty beach in Los Angeles. That empty beach was empty because we were on lockdown. But after 3 months, we came out of lockdown. So I went back to that beach in July of last year, 3 months into the pandemic, as the lockdown was lifted, to shoot a 3-month anniversary special. On Mornings LA, I showed the footage and how I was surprised by the footage in which people are walking about without social distancing, no mask, and really not taking this pandemic at all serious. This is actually when the pandemic got to its worst. By July of 2020, California, and at least Los Angeles, fell into its worst abyss of the pandemic. But for the first time ever, I show you the second half of this footage that addressed the issue of what was going on with viewers at the time. The message at the time, I never delivered. There was a reason I didn't air this footage at the time, because my focus in July of 2020 was keeping you positive, keeping you motivated, keeping you inspired, keeping you smiling. And there was a message at the end of this footage that I thought at the time I shouldn't air because it wasn't particularly positive. It was sad. And with that, I think it's important to now air that footage a year later. Let's watch what happens later in this footage.
I started to record, but people were wondering, where did you find the interest to answer and follow this path of money that was going nowhere? It all started, ironically, from a friend on Twitter whose husband has a business in Boston, a shoe store, applied for the EIDL grant and loan, which I had never heard of, and had not really gotten any money. Another reality TV star that I was friends with was privately DMing me about her problems with the PPP loan, and surely I quickly found out that a lot of people were just not getting anywhere with the first stimulus package, that no one was answering their questions, and that maybe there was a grounds to really explain what was happening. And so while this would normally be my backdrop, it slowly turned into something more. Really trying to figure out how to navigate this confusion about checks, packages, stimulus, money, grants, and loans in the middle of a pandemic. And ultimately, we started to make inroads. What we saw were a lot of the initial applications were done incorrectly, that people had put the wrong numbers in the wrong places. Simple little tricks, simple little errors. And then in the world of pushing papers and pencils, those simple errors sometimes cause major problems. We fixed those, and suddenly we made progress. We went from a few hundred subscribers to a few thousand because people were seeing that we were getting their applications processed and approved and getting the money which they dramatically needed. It became very telling quickly on when so many businesses said, "Thank you, you saved us." They were literally about to close their doors. And so slowly we found out that there really was a concern to help people that no one was helping, and that one another we could help a lot more. We have literally saved hundreds and hundreds of businesses. Literally minutes before I pressed record on this camera, another person DM'd me who had contacted me earlier today, said he had got to nowhere in 6 weeks of applying for first stimulus package money. This is the case of an EIDL loan. And this evening he has an offer. He has an offer that will save his business. We have saved hundreds, if not thousands of people and their businesses in the matter of just a few weeks. The amount of money that we've gotten people is somewhere between $5 to $25 million that they were owed but had not received, but for a very confusing process that had gone off the tracks. We stayed with them, we educated them, and we informed them, but along the way, we tried to keep them laughing and smiling. I mean, loans can only be watched so much, and so you had to keep people interested in whether it was a stimulus, whether it was a check, whether it was SSDI or SSI, you had to keep them entertained. And we did things people said you're not supposed to do. We had introductions and blends on the ocean. We had theme song. We had personalities. We had sketches. We had things that people just don't inherently are not educated or formed to do when they launch a channel. And sure enough, we did exactly the opposite. Our purpose was to keep people informed and educated and keep their spirits up. And early on, we had a breakthrough. The breakthrough came just a few days into our launch of the channel. And we saw traffic going down and we said, maybe we won't do it anymore. So I actually that Tuesday morning said, I'm quitting. I'm not doing this anymore. No one's watching. But for some reason, I sat down and I re-recorded again. I recorded later that afternoon just for one last time. And right before I recorded, I looked at the analytics. I looked at the traffic for the night before. And they had gone through the roof. I literally broke down on camera and I said, boy, I had given up hope. It's sort of difficult starting and not seeing you're going anywhere. And boy, we saw the breakthrough. But it wasn't so much what I said on camera that day, it's what the viewers said in reaction to that early recording that I'm referring to. It was only a few days into launching this channel. The viewers said, yes, there's a message here. Yes, you are educating us, but there's a lot more. It's the sentiment that you're bringing to camera, that no one else was giving us motivation. No one else was keeping our spirits up. No one else was encouraging us. No one was telling us to push through. And for some of these were people who were applying for loans and waiting for loans to process, and they weren't getting them approved, and they had given up hope. And I said, don't give up hope. Early on, I used the finger a lot, way too much in the recordings. But the finger worked, and I pointed at them on camera. I said, don't give up hope. You will get your money. And they said that was the reason why they were staying with the channel, even more than the message. That I had given them encouragement and spirits and motivation during a pandemic that sometimes is very depressing. Sadly, there have been moments that I sometimes have not admitted on camera that are really sometimes too depressing to report, but they have happened. And if you've been with this channel from the very beginning, you've seen those moments happen. I've had people literally give up and close their doors, and then suddenly, by the grace of God, of something I've done, their business was saved. But then there's been situations that have been far more sadder. I had one viewer who in the comments that I recalled on camera admitted that her nephew committed suicide. I had another person named Giovanni who early on in the recordings left a comment, and I read it on camera, and he said his employees are having problems dealing with the pandemic, and one is considering committing suicide. I remember choking on camera and not able to continue, and I said, suicide's not an answer. It really isn't. And I said to that employee who was not a viewer, nor was the other person committed suicide, it was also not a viewer, I said, please seek help. Sadly, that person's choice of passing became their reality. It's that type of mood that sometimes comes off camera that I don't impart on camera. It's sometimes hard to digest and sometimes hard to deliver, and you don't know where is the place or time to deliver that message on camera. You try to express emotions, but you don't try not to interrupt the message because people have to ultimately be informed. But you can't seem callous and you can't seem lacking of caring. You have to be yourself, and being myself sometimes can be emotional, sometimes too emotional. And so what happens on camera is sometimes not what you expected to deliver. Ultimately, when you press that button to start to record, something may happen that you never expected to see. And that's what's happened in the last 3 months, is when I press the camera, sometimes I'm doing a cold read. I'm not reading the comments ahead of time, and I just don't know what's going to happen. And there you go. Ultimately, I hope this channel inspires a lot of people, because this channel reaches so many different types of people, whether you're on SSDI, SSI, or Social Security, whether you have very little funds, whether you're a business owner with 500 employees but can't even make payroll, and so you're worried about your employees not being able to make rent. There's so many different types of people that this channel touches. And so that's why I value your comments, and I consider it a family. I really do. Ultimately, the important thing to remember is to stay positive. It really is. Whether it's a backdrop that I give you that is inspiring, or whether it's a crazy shirt that I wear that keeps your spirits up, or my bad hair blowing in the wind one day and going to my face, whatever keeps you motivated and keeps your spirits up, I've done my purpose. Your focus now is getting forward and moving forward.
And that was a year ago. Well, July, and what a run it has been. I really appreciate all the love and support. It was very difficult to choose not to air that footage back in July, but I didn't, for exactly how it ends. It was truthful. That was sometimes the truth is not a message you want to deliver on air. And it was not one I wanted to deliver in July. People were still going back into lockdown. The pandemic was spreading. People were having problems losing their businesses and not getting stimulus. And I didn't want to air that footage then. With looking back on the 1-year anniversary, I think it's important to show you the complete story. And that's why I'm showing you the footage now. But with that, we've had incredible successes and incredible family across the board. We have always understood that we do things on our own terms on this channel. We have fun, we learn, we educate, we keep it simple, we push, and we don't have anyone tell us how to do it. They don't do it that way elsewhere. Good. We do it this way here. We do it the way we want to do it, how we want to do it, and we get to the finish line as a family. Ultimately, we're not here to judge one another, and we're not have other people judge us. We do it the way we want to. As we start to reopen this economy and we start to go out, take the message of this recording and be inspired as well. Understand that I almost stopped recording after 1 week. I almost gave up, and I almost gave up a second time. But I said, keep the recording, keep on going, and keep on pushing. I want you to be inspired by this recording to do everything that you aspire to do. I want you to be financially stable, financially not dependent on the federal government this year. In the video before this, on Mornings LALATE, someone in the comments dropped the following comment. They said, as to the forced stimulus, why don't they send out the forced stimulus checks in May? They don't care. This is ultimately how this channel has brought you from A to Z. That viewer is clearly not one of you, because the viewer clearly doesn't understand that forced stimulus has to go by reconciliation. That's the way the federal government has been set up, as I've informed you on this channel, that you've learned and been educated that reconciliation is a 2-month process, and it's not so much that no one cares, it's that it simply can't start and be done any faster than 2 months. Can't send out a forced stimulus check any faster than 2 months from now. Can't be done in May. And that ultimately, I don't want you to be tracking a check this year. I want you to be cashing checks. Third stimulus checks for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, homeowners assistance will be landing in the month of May across all states. Third stimulus checks have landed. If you haven't gotten yours, you need to request it. Buy a tax return with a tax preparer. The money for that children, the $3,600, starts in the month of July. The EIDL grant from 2020 is being paid. The Shutter Venue grant is going live next week. The other grants, like the PPP grant, is available as well. I want you to get all this money. I want you to get it fast. I want you to understand that there's always going to be a stimulus stampede, but you need to be at the front of the stampede. You need to be before everyone else. And with that, thank you for the incredible noontime recording. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Like this video, and if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Coming up next, I'll see you at Afternoons LALATE. It'll be a big recording. I'm so excited for you. Stay informed, stay focused, keep on smiling, and have a beautiful noontime. This has been LALATE.